Here's an activity where we took a passage. So there's a children's book, and there's also a video that reads it along. So I played the video and we read the story, The Man Who Walked Between Two Towers. However, you could use whatever story or passage that you wanted to use, but I really liked using this one because, again, it had images and pictures for my students who were kind of struggler writers. So you can either use this on paper or you could do it digital. I have added Pear Deck in here, but I did it on paper when I did it with students. So the first thing is there's this task, and students had to take the prompt and then they had to just break it down into the mini bite-sized pieces and determine which type of essay it was, the vocabulary, question words, the purpose, and then how long this response should be. And so we just took that and we broke it down into bite-sized pieces, and then I just kind of provided my example and my answers, so students would know the expectation. So as students completed these bite-sized pieces for their writing, we did one together, but then after they got the hang of it, they actually went ahead and did it by themselves. And again, I scaffolded out so they were just focusing on their hook. They would get feedback, make revisions, or they would go on to the next task. Here they have to create their hook. And so they just, again, they were trying to engage. So I provided students, this is from EB Teacher, this graphic of all of these different examples of ways that they could provide a hook in their writing. Feel free to take these scaffolds off or leave them on depending on your students. So sometimes I will take it off and I'll just say hook and keep the directions, and then I'll kind of see what the students can do. Or if my students need that scaffold, I might provide that for them, and then I have them like highlight or circle which one they used. So then they got feedback from me. Here's my example of my hook. And then from here, we looked into the background information. So when we were talking about background information, the students wrote the title, the author, and then the what type of story it was. So I gave them another example. Again, you could keep or take away, or you could change if you do something else. And then there's my example. So then the thesis statement, I kind of helped the students come up with, okay, it's your opinion because what's the three reasons? So then I give them another example. Again, you could leave this on or you could take this off depending on your students. And then here is my actual example. So again, this one we walked together through. I had the students kind of try, and then we looked at my example and compared their answer to my response and how to make their thesis maybe stronger, another part of their writing. And then body paragraph 1 was the next piece. And this took multiple days. It took about 4 days because I split it up. We didn't work on it the entire class period. I took about, I think it was like 20 to 30 minutes to actually work on this. So we kind of did this part one day and then we took a break and came back to it. So then we did reason 1 and I gave them an example. And then we talked about evidence and how your elaboration should be longer. So you might quote the text or you might paraphrase. And then from there, I explained that this needs to be longer. So I loved having this side-by-side view. So that way students could see their evidence and their elaboration to make sure that their elaboration was a lot longer than what they provided in their evidence. And then we talked about different strategies that they could use for sentence starters when they are elaborating. So here was an example, and I just told them, like, here was my evidence, but look how much longer my elaboration was. And then I took the video and I actually went and I did format options, and I actually showed where it took place in the video, my evidence. So that was really helpful for students as well to kind of see where this took place. And I just took that clip of the video and showed it just on this piece. So when I was talking to students, like how we highlight our evidence, maybe if it's a text, but this is how I kind of did it with a video. And then the closing. So just to close out that first paragraph, and then provided the students an example. And this one should actually be switched. And then the next thing was the body paragraph 2. So again, we talked about reason number 2, and then we went and we explained it here. So again, they saw another example. And then same process as before. There's my evidence, there's my elaboration, here's that video. I again used the timestamps to help. And then my students saw the closing. And then again, we repeated the process for body paragraph 3. So as we kind of did this, and again, I split this up into multiple days. Body paragraph 1 was pretty heavy, kind of we do it together. Body paragraph 2 was more you do, or maybe this one was more I do. It kind of depends on your group. And then body paragraph 2 and 3 is more you do for this group of kids. But again, you kind of know your students better. And then the conclusion, we just talk about how to rephrase our thesis. We summarize our evidence, and then I do a mic drop sentence. So they pick one of those sentence starters, and then they close out their paragraph. So that is how I kind of introduced this kind of lesson frame when writing an essay.